Hello and welcome again. This is your host Harshit Sinha from yesterday's presentation tracing the series on SDG with another interesting topic. The complex interconnected challenges to the 21st century ranging from the climate change and poverty, inequality and biodiversity loss requires more than isolated solution. Holistic approach to the sustainable development goals, that is SDG, recognize that the progress in one area cannot be achieved without the progress in other area. This perspective aligns with the very foundation of the SDGs, which were designed as an integrated framework to balance social, economic, and environmental dimension of development. In the first part of this series, we explore how holistic methodologies can effectively support the realization of symptoms. For instance, tackling food insecurity, that is SDG 2, cannot be separated from the issues of climate resilience, that is SDG 13, gender equity, SDG 5, and sustainable land use, that is SDG 15. A fragmented approach may lead to trade-off or unintended consequences, whereas holistic strategies aim to create synergies and the co-benefit across sectors. Holistic approach emphasizes system thinking, stakeholder intelligence, and the interdependence of human and the natural system. They often draw on a cross-disciplinary knowledge and indigenous wisdom to co-create solutions that are locally relevant and globally informed. By promoting coherence among the policy, institutions, and practices, holistic methodology strengthens the transformative potential of the SDG framework. They encourages long-term planning, ethical governance, and adaptive management in the face of uncertainty. As we move forward, embracing such integrated framework is crucial to realizing the SDGs not just as an aspirational goal, but as a dynamic roadmap for the sustainable, inclusive, and resilient future. Slide 2. Understanding holistic approach. Holistic approach to sustainable development emphasizes the interconnectedness of social, economic, and environmental systems. Rather than treating challenge in isolation, this approach views development issue as a part of a larger integrated system that requires collaborative and adaptive solution. At the core of the holistic thinking is the system thinking, which focus on understanding the relationship, feedback loops, and interdependency among the various components of a system. It moves beyond linear cause and effect models to address the complexity of real-world challenges. A balanced perspective ensures social equity, environmental health, and economic viability are considered simultaneously. This trifold balance is crucial for sustainable policy that do not disproportionately favor one domain at the expense of the other. The participatory methods are also essential, involving multiple stakeholders, including the local communities, marginalized group, private sector actor, and policymaker in co-creating the solution. These approaches enhance the legitimacy, relevance, and the long-term success of the development initiative. Resources like UNESCO Participatory Development Toolkit offers a practical framework. Finally, a long-term vision focuses on intergenerational equity, ensuring that the today's actions do not compromise the well-being of the future generation. This principle emphasized in the Brundtland report, underpinning the very definition of sustainable development. In sum, holistic approach provides a powerful lens through which sustainable development efforts can be planned and evaluated. This fosters systematic change, reduces unintended consequences, and offers resilient solutions in an increasingly complex world. Slide 3. Interconnectedness of SDG The Sustainable Development Goal, that is SDG, comprising 17 interlinked objectives, are designed to address the world's most pressing challenges in an unified framework. However, these goals are not isolated targets, they are deeply interconnected, meaning progress in one area can either support or hinder progress in others. Synergies occurs when action on one goal positively influences multiple others. For example, improving access to clean energy, that is SDG 7, can enhance health outcomes, SDG 3, boost education, SDG 4, and reduce poverty, that is SDG 1. Recognizing the leveraging such synergy allows more efficient use of the resource and the stronger cross-sectoral impacts. On the other hand, trade-offs are equally important to understand. For instance, expanding industrial infrastructure, that is SDG 9, without considering the environmental safeguard can undermine goals related to climate action, that is SDG 13, and life on land, that is SDG 15. This highlights the need for careful planning to minimize negative externalities. A system view is essential in analyzing the complexity and feedback loops within the SDG framework. It requires integrated data, cross-disciplinary collaborations, and adaptive policy that can be respond to changing conditions and interdependency. And the last one is related with the integrations. The integration is the key to the effective implementation policies. Policies must balance economic growth, social equity, and environmental sustainability. Ignoring these interconnection risks fragmentation, inefficiency, and unintended consequences. In conclusion, understanding the interconnectedness of the SDGs is vital to achieving sustainable outcomes. A system-based holistic approach enables government, institutions, and the community to design strategies that are inclusive, efficient, and resilient. Slide 4. Multi-level governance approach. The multi-level governance, that is MLG approach, is essential for effective implementation sustainable development agenda, including the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. It recognizes that successful outcome requires coordinated action across the various layers of the governance, global, national, regional, and local level. At the top tier, global framework provides a unified vision through international agreement and conventions such as the Paris Agreement and the 2030 Agenda for the Sustainable Development. These frameworks establish shared principles, targets, and accountability mechanism that guides collective global action. Another is national policies. The national policies translate these global commitments into context-specific strategies aligned with the domestic priorities, institutional capacities, and socioeconomic realities. Through nationally determined contribution, that is NDCs, or the development plans, countries adapt global goals to fit local conditions and policy environments. Then comes to regional coordination that plays a bridging role, fostering collaboration across jurisdictions that share resources, ecosystem, or the socioeconomic ties. This level facilitates knowledge sharing, pooled resources management, and collective problem solving on transboundary issues such as water, air, and migration. The foundation of MLG approach lies in local implementation, which is most important, where the community-led initiative drive on the ground transformation. Local government and the civil society plays a crucial role in aligning action with lived reality, ensuring inclusivity and accountability. This vertical integrated model ensured that the decisions made is not a top-down or swelled, but collaborative and responsive. By connecting global aspiration to local capacities, The multi-level governance approach enables coherent, efficient, and inclusive paths towards the sustainable development. Slide 5. Measuring the progress holistically. Traditional matrices, gross domestic product, GDP, are insufficient for capturing the full spectrum of human and ecological well-being. A holistic approach to measuring progress integrates economic, social, and environmental dimension, ensuring that development is both inclusive and sustainable. Beyond GDP, metrics offer an alternative framework that better reflects real-world progress. Tools like the Genuine Progress Indicator, that is GPI, adjust for income inequality, environmental degradation, and the social factors. Similarly, the Human Development Index, that is HDI, combines life expectancy, education, and income levels, while the ecological footprint measures the humanity's resource consumption relatively to the Earth's capacity. Another is integrated assessments. Method helps policymakers understand the complex interaction between SDGs. Tools such as SDG interlinkages framework and system dynamic modeling allows for the evaluation of the synergies and the trade-off across the different goals. These approaches promote better alignment between the development objective and the long-term sustainability. Equally important is the participatory monitoring, which empowers citizens to take part in the tracking their community progress. Citizen science initiatives, community scorecards, and the participatory budgeting strengthen the transparency, accountability, and localized action. Holistic measurement system provides a richer, more nuanced picture of the progress that goes far beyond the economic output. By combining quantitative and the qualitative indicators and involving diverse stakeholders, we can move towards a model of development that truly reflects human well-being and the planetary health. Slide 6. Financing holistic development. Achieving sustainable and equitable development requires more than a visionary policy. It demands innovative, inclusive, and resilient financing model. Holistic development aims to integrate social equity, environment sustainability, and economic prosperity. To support such multifaceted goals, diverse funding sources must be aligned and leveraged effectively. Public finance plays a foundational role, offering legitimacy, scale, and long-term stability. Government can mobilize taxes, revenue, and issue green bonds to fund public goods. However, this source is often limited by budget constraints and the political cycles. Then comes private investment. The private investments brings innovations, efficiency, and market responsive. It can drive rapid progress in areas like clean technology and infrastructure, yet its profit-driven nature may lead to uneven distribution and limited engagement in a high-risk or unserved regions. Right? Then comes a blended finance. The blended finance strategically combines public, private, and philanthropic capital to reduce the risk and mobilize greater investment. It is a key to financial the SDGs, but faces challenges such as a complex structuring and a high transaction cost. Last but not the least is the impact investment. The impact investment focuses on achieving the measurable social and environmental outcomes alongside of the financial returns. It is a mission aligned and patent through often limited in a scale and difficult to evaluate consistently. The Guinea offers, that is GIIN, detailed insight into global impact investment trend. A robust financing ecosystem, diverse in sources and inclusive in design, is essential to realize the ambitions of the holistic development. Technology as an enabler. Technology has emerged as a powerful enabler of the sustainable development, bridging the gap in access, accelerating the innovations, and enhancing the effectiveness of the solution across sectors. By leveraging digital tools and data-driven insight, communities and government can make informed decisions that are inclusive, efficient, and resilient. The first is digital inclusions that uses mobile and internet-based solution to reach the marginalized population. Tools like SMS-based farmer advisory empower rural community with climate updates and the market trends. Initiatives such as GSMAS Digital Agriculture demonstrate how mobile technology can reduce the information asymmetry and improve livelihood. Another technology is related with the remote sensing. Now, remote sensing enables real-time environmental monitoring using satellite and drones. This technology tracks deforestation, droughts, and the land use changes critical for the disaster preparedness and resource management. Platforms like NASA's Earth Data offers open access satellite imaging for research and response. Another is related with the clean technology is revolutionize energy system through solar, wind and bioenergy innovation. Off-grid solar solutions, for example, bring electricity to rural and undeserved area, boosting education, healthcare and income. Then comes big data analysis, which is a recent discovery, unlock the predictive insight from the complex database. From disaster risk modeling to urban planning, big data enables more adaptive governance. Organizations like UN Global Pluses uses advanced analysis to inform humanitarian and development responses. Together, these technologies form a dynamic ecosystem that enhance the human potential, safeguard the environmental and promote equitable growth, making sustainable development both achievable and scalable. Slide 8 concerned with the most important part, that is indigenous knowledge integration. Indigenous knowledge, rooted in centuries of observation and cultural practice, offers profound insight into environmental stewardship and sustainable development. Integrating this knowledge with the modern science enhances the relevance, resilience, and equity of the global sustainability solution. Traditionally, ecological knowledge, that is TEK, is a body of a knowledge built through long-term interaction with the ecosystem. It includes biodiversity, conservation, sustainable harvesting, and community-based resource management. These practices are inherently adaptive and context-specific. The UNESCO Local and Indigenous Knowledge System, that is LINKS, program emphasizes the value of tech in addressing the global environmental challenges. Next is related with the holistic worldview. The holistic worldview underpins the indigenous relationship with the environment. This perspective emphasizes reciprocity, spiritual and cultural connection to land, and intergenerational responsibility. They often follow cyclical thinking, contrasting with the linear development model predominant in the Western science. This approach aligned with the emerging sustainability concepts such as the Earth Charter, which values ethical and spiritual connection to nature. And the last one is related with the co-production of the knowledge that involves equitable collaboration between the indigenous community and scientists. It promotes two-way knowledge exchange, participatory research, and the right-based framework that respect indigenous sovereignty. Such approaches fosters mutual learning and culturally appropriate innovation. By recognizing indigenous people as a knowledge holder, not just as a stakeholder, sustainable development becomes more inclusive and grounded. Their wisdom offers not only a practical environmental insight but also ethical framework essential for addressing today's ecological crisis. Incorporating the indigenous knowledge is not just a matter of inclusion. It is a vital strategy for achieving sustainable that is just, respectful, and enduring. Slide 9. Urban sustainability transformation. As the cities continue to grow, projected to house nearly 70% of the global population by 2050, transforming urban area into sustainable, resilient, and inclusive space is a critical. Urban sustainability transformation involves systematic shift in how cities are planned, built, and governed, addressing environmental, social, and economic challenges simultaneously. A key pillar is the circular economy, which promotes waste to resource systems that minimize environmental impact. Cities embracing circularity redesign production and consumption cycle, divert waste from landfill and generate local green jobs, contributing to climate goals and social equity. The next is related with the green infrastructure that uses nature-based solutions such as the urban forest, rain gardens, and the green roof to enhance resilience, biodiversity, and livability. These interventions mitigate urban heat island, improve air quality, and strengthen flood control. Then comes sustainable mobility, prioritize efficient, low emission, and accessible transport system. Cities are investing in public transit, cyclic lane, and pedestrian zone to reduce the congestion, lower the greenhouse gas emission, and improve quality of life. And finally, inclusive governance ensure participatory urban planning that reflects the voice of all residents, particularly marginalized community. This includes transparent decision making, gender sensitive policies, and local empowerment in city management. Together, these strategies form a cohesive blueprint for urban transformation. They align with the new urban agenda and the SDG 11, that is sustainable cities and communities, emphasis resilience, equity, and ecological harmony. Holistic urban sustainable isn't a future aspiration, it is an urgent necessity for thriving just cities. Slide 10, Quantifying progress and impact. Measuring progress and impact is essential in achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, that is SDG. Quantification enables policymakers, researchers, and the communities to evaluate where the progress is being made, identify gaps, and recalibrate strategies for more inclusive and effective outcome. The chart above illustrates regional SDG index scores showing varying trajectories across the continents. According to the Sustainable Development Report by SDSN, Europe continued to lead in an average SDG performance, while the Asia shows strong momentum in areas like health and education. Notably, Africa, despite starting from a lower baseline, has demonstrated the most significant relative improvement, highlighting the importance of equity-based matrices in the global assessment. Tools like the SDG Index, Voluntary National Review, that is VNRs, provides valuable insight into national and regional performance. These indices use composite matrices that integrate indicators across economic, environmental, and the social dimensions, moving beyond the simplicity growth model like GDP. Furthermore, impact measurement framework helps evaluate not just output but long-term outcome and transformational changes. These frameworks are increasingly used by the government, businesses, and civil society to guide resource allocation and ensure accountability. Ultimately, quantifying progress and impact is not about the competition but the collaboration. It enables evidence-based decision making, fosters transparency, and ensures that the development leaves no one behind. With improved data system, participatory monitoring, and innovative analytics, we can better understand the path forward and the progress already made. Slide 11. This is the last slide of this presentation. The slide 11 is related with the future direction and recommendation for sustainable development. The path towards achieving the sustainable development necessitates a holistic and systematic approaches, integrating policy, governance, and stakeholders' engagement with a clear timeline. A critical future direction involves policy integration, emphasizing the need for coherent policy approaches across all sectors. This means moving beyond siloed decision making to create synergistic policies that addresses environmental and the social and economic dimension simultaneously. For instance, the urban planning policy must integrate waste management and the green infrastructure consideration. Effective sustainable development also hinges on robust governance level encompassing critical scale of action from local initiative to global cooperation. This multiple level governance ensures that the policies are implemented effectively at the grassroots while aligned with the broader international goals, strengthening local government capacities and fostering international partnership are the key. Crucially, stakeholders must reach a minimum threshold for meaningful participation in decision. This involves actively involving businesses, communities, NGOs, and academic institutions in the planning, implementation, and monitoring phase of the Sustainable Development Project. Genuine participation fosters ownership and ensure that the solutions are contextually relevant and equitable. Finally, the target timeline of 2030 serves as a critical deadline for achieving the transformative sustainable development. This ambitious timeline underscores the urgency of action and necessitates the accelerated efforts in all areas. Thus, the holistic approach is to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals (SDG) requires a systematic thinking, inclusive participation, and integrated assessment methods. Success ultimately depends on the policy coherence across sectors and scales, ensuring that all efforts are aligned and mutually reinforcing. With this, we conclude the session, which has addressed the intricate and interconnected challenges of the 21st century, spanning climate change, poverty, inequality, and biodiversity loss that demand comprehensive, integrated solution. Holistic methodologies underpin the Sustainable Development Goal, that is SDG, underscoring that the progress is one domain cannot be realized in isolation. Rather, development must be approached through an interconnected framework that harmonizes social, economic, and environmental consideration. Looking forward, we will continue this intellectual exploration with the engaging discourse titled once again with the holistic approach to Sustainable Development Goals Part 2, which we will delve into the fundamental concept shaping global sustainability transition. We invite to remain engaged with our platform for forthcoming session and to share this content with the colleagues committed to advancing sustainable development. Wishing you continued success, inspiration, and resilience in your pursuit of the sustainable and prosperous future. Bye-bye.